I feel the best physically that I ever have. Just the way I carry myself and the way that I view myself, to look back on who I was a year ago and be so proud of who I am. I lost 4.5 inches off my waist. I put these on today. I was like, man, these things are loose. I still eat things that I love. I still have the opportunity to go out and have a drink with my friends, invest in yourself. There is no better day to start than today.
All right. State your name, where you live, and what you do for work.
My name is James. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a product development manager for a toy company.
Awesome. Now, describe your situation before you got started with me and Generation Fit in like 2 to 3 brief short statements.
Okay, wow. I was coming off of a divorce, really not taking care of myself well, and eating my feelings. That's probably a good one.
And I think it's just for some, logisticals for the viewers. So like, just tell them like where you started off from in terms of your weight, where you were mentally, anything to give them some context.
Okay. When I first came to you, I had topped out at probably 191, 192, somewhere on the scale. Not a very active lifestyle. Had gained about 30 pounds from my resting average of where I was living for, my entire 20s, honestly. So not very active and not in a mindset or a headspace where I even cared. I was like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to have another day, I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow, and didn't really care about what I looked like or what I was putting in my body. And then I found you. So.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what were you unable to do that you wished you could back then?
One thing that we've talked about the whole time is just the knowledge gap. Like, there's so much information out there and so many people that give information online but don't have it to be something that seems attainable or relatable. It's like, oh, look, you could do this. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that, but I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to go to the gym and hit PRs, sometime every week, or I'm not going to be able to eat nutritional meals and still get the same satisfaction out of what I'm eating. I'm not going to be able to, honestly, the list just goes on and on. Like, I'm not going to be able to look in the mirror and say nice things to myself. And most of that's a mental battle, but all of it's kind of in with everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the active lifestyle too. Like, I enjoy going outside. I did not realize at the time. I was on a business trip, and a lovely guy that I work with, he walks like 2 miles after dinner every single day. And I went on a walk with him, and it wasn't until we got back to his house that he was like, he's French, but he was like, hey, you are very out of breath. And I had not really thought about that. But in talking to him, I'm going to see him again in October. I'm like, hey, you're going to have to keep up with me. Like, when we go on this walk, you're going to have to keep up with me. I'm feeling good. And even little things like that, like my conditioning and just my general care for my everyday well-being, is not something that I had attainable to me at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I guess at the time, right, what negative impact did it have on others around you?
On those around me, I don't know if I could quantify that really well, other than I know, excuse me, I know that my self-image, or lack thereof, really affected other people's emotional care for myself. Like, I didn't care what I said about myself. I'd say really mean things. And I honestly, I still struggle with that. It's a lot better, but I would have so many people that I think were worried just in general about like my mental well-being, my physical well-being, and didn't even know how to support me because I didn't know how to support myself. It was just kind of this like negative cycle that I was caught in that I feel like a lot of people were just like, I'm worried about what's happening there and didn't really know how to help. So I'm sure it was concerning for some people, especially to watch me go from kind of living in this to moving into this new stage of life that was really unhealthy and a bad spiral. So
Absolutely. All right. So then here, how did you find me, the company overall?
it's funny. I think it was my birthday. I reached out to you. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was.
Yep.
Um, I was coming home from Christmas with my girlfriend and just not feeling the best. And I had your, I don't even remember which video it is, but I had one of your videos pop up and I saved it, and then I went back and I watched it again later. So I could probably go look and see which one it was. But I was watching it while we were driving home, and I thought like, I should send somebody a message. I should send like I really had the thought to myself of, if I don't make a change right now, this is just going to keep getting worse. And there was something about the way that you presented yourself while still feeling and presenting of an authority level of how hey, I have walked through this myself. I have done this. I have done this. Um, you felt relatable. You weren't someone who was trying to show me their highlight reel and just saying like, "Oh, hey, I used to look like this. Now look at me. Trust me." And then even the first video that you sent me before we had our call, I watched that video so many times because it felt like your level of being able to step and like meet me face to face in where I was, instead of asking me to try and come up to you and be like, okay, I'm going to get in the mindset. I got to be exactly where you are mentally. Let's hit it. I've struggled with that with trainers before. It's generally just like well, I need you to try more. I need you to do this. Like, you met me where I was and offered to help me pick myself up. Sorry, that's a very like deeper answer. Instagram is the one word, but that's a very loaded answer. But there's just something about how relatable and approachable your content felt, while not necessarily just being showmanship.
Oh, hopefully I try not to. I try not to actually showboat too much of any of that stuff. Hopefully, um, but what were your like initial thoughts about going through like the process of like talking to me on Instagram? Because it obviously still is me, but just going through the process of talking, going on a call.
Um, Give me 1 second. Just so you know, Luke, I'm on my like bigger call. Cool. Yeah, with Chris. Um, no, the process itself, I mean, it was very, I'll use the word approachable again. You messaged me back almost instantly and were really easy to schedule with, and just made like you made a space where it wasn't like, this is so competitive. You're going to have to like convince me. You're going to have to, you really wanted to like hear me out and again, like meet me where I was. So the person that you portray yourself to be is the same person that you are when I talk to you. So I appreciate that level of transparency, because you meet some people who, when you get to know them, you find out they kind of have their work voice where they're like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this is what like I feel like you present very well. You're exactly who you are." So it's very easy, very approachable, and structured and flexible too. So if I have needs, you accommodate them, and kind of vice versa. So
Absolutely. And then What were your doubts and fears about all this in the beginning?
That I wouldn't be able to do it. Like 100%. I was talking to my roommates about that. Um, just probably within the last hour, I was like, the reason why I think this worked is because I was able to really like put my money where my mouth was and say like, there's something to be said about like trying and then kind of giving up, but I'm a very financially driven person where like if I have something on the line and I screw up, like that's my own deal. Like, but I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to do it. I mean, I've had trainers before. I've had trainers before. I've been in situations where like I've tried, but I've really looked at myself through the lens of how other people are going to accept me and my progress and my success. So knowing that I was disappointing someone else by not hitting my goals, as opposed to knowing that I'm really sorry. Hold on.
No, no worries. I can cut all this out. Don't worry.
Okay. I really don't want to move because it's
It'll be okay. I can pause it. Trust me. It's all okay.
okay.
I think I'll eat it. So what made you say yes anyways then?
Okay. Um, I mean, the thing that made me say yes, like I knew that something needed to change, and I was having honest conversations with myself in the mirror. I'm one of those people. My internal dialogue's always going, and I had seen my weight like progressively gain. I knew how I felt about myself, and I knew that if something didn't change, it was just going to be harder and harder to backtrack. Like the last uh the year so far has been difficult. While I've enjoyed seeing the progress, like it's hard to change your eating habits. It's hard to motivate yourself to go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning and fit it into your schedule. It's hard to push yourself to PRs and just try and say like, today I'm going to live my life to be a little better than I was yesterday, just in all regards. And I knew that I needed to start doing that for myself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And well, it leads me to the next question: is tell the viewers where you're at now, physically, mentally, spiritually.
Today I am at 167 and a half. So I'm, what did we say, 22 and a half pounds down, not including the muscle that I've lost. I'm
Built.
actually, I, or gained, sorry. Not including the muscle that I've gained. Hold on, I'll say all that again because that sounded dumb as hell.
It's okay. Don't worry.
As of today, I am at 167 and a half. So it's 22 and a half pounds down, not including all of the muscle that I've gained on top of that, which is, I mean, I'm more like, I guess, muscularly fit than I think that I've ever been. My strength has continued to go up while my weight has gone down. It is kind of funny. I'm wearing, and I didn't mean to with anything but the shirt, but the picture, my like before and after picture, it's actually the exact same outfit that I'm wearing right now. And the pants that I'm wearing are the pants that like at the time I was having to wear just out of necessity. Like it was the only thing of what was in my wardrobe that fit me and didn't like just kill me, but they were snug. I mean, these things, I've probably lost 4.5 inches off my waist. Just in general, like as I put these on, I don't wear them a whole lot, but as I put these on today, I was like, man, these things are loose. They're not going to fall off, but my gosh, they are very loose. So, mentally, I'm definitely a lot more clearer, especially in the knowledge aspect. Like one thing that you've really helped close for me is the knowledge gap of there's all of this information out here. What's the most important? And there are always going to be things that I can focus on or very like niche areas to be able to like, learn. And I love to learn, but taking the fitness and strength training side and the nutritional, and like, here are the main things you need to worry about without getting so granular that it's kind of overwhelming and just inundates you with just too much information to make it seem accessible. I eat very well. I still eat things that I love. I still have the opportunity to go out and have a drink with my friends and do things like that. So in that regard, like, I've kept the same habit of being able to eat the things that I want, but having the knowledge aspect to carry over and support my goals. And I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to stop thinking outside of like macro terms, and I get excited about it. And I have the ability, because I get excited about it, to talk to other people about it very easily. So being able to take those things, even in small conversations, and share it with other people. Um, and then spiritually, that's been one of my biggest components in trying to like get through anything like this, while it still existed in the former version of myself, if we want to call it that. While it still existed, it definitely is a lot stronger than it was, because if I believe the things that I say are true, like, I should treat my body more like a temple. I should be able to take care of myself, and um, that's something that I'm very mindful about. And I do kind of have, almost like, I turn on worship music when I'm at the gym, and I get to enjoy that active, like, I'm taking care of myself because it is pleasing to you. So anyway, that's another big component for me that has definitely helped.
Absolutely. Those are all great things. And I mean, how does it make you all feel?
Oh, I feel, while I still have like hard days with anxiety and depression, I feel the best physically that I think I ever have. And I think that shows. You and I were talking about the difference between the first video and today, like, just the way I carry myself and the way that I view myself is, could I have had a better self view and still lived where I was and been more comfortable with, the weight that I was at? Probably. I probably could have attained that at some level, but I don't think that I would have that deep of an appreciation for my determination and my ability to say, like, I can do anything for a day. And because I can do anything for a day, I can do it for a week or a month or a year. And that mental aspect of it, while it's still hard, like, I have to get up and choose to do that, I feel like I have a greater ability to look back on, again, a month, a week, who I was a year ago, and be so proud of who I am, and make the same choices that got me from there to here, to take me from here to where I want to go. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I wish I could populate the video of both sides, but I probably should. And when I edit this in, but it is pretty crazy to see the changes. So I can't wait to have you send over some photos, and I'll have you populate, and you'd be like, I mean, the clothes that you're wearing right now might be even perfect too, um, for like a before and after. But I think just for context, to see like the body language, to see the body shape, right? So even
yeah.
just whether it be subconscious or conscious stuff. But what were you unable to do? Or I guess what are you able to do now that you weren't able to before?
Honestly, the discipline of waking up, like, it's still hard, but when I'm finally up and I'm like, we're going to the gym, like, I feel it. I'm excited to go, and I chug my pre-workout, with a Built Bar, and go and just push myself. I am not someone, I don't enjoy being pushed. Like, that's, even from a personal discipline standpoint, that's never something that I've excelled at. So being able to say, like, this is hard, but I'm going to continue to give it what I have until not that I'm working drop sets every single time, but like, I'm pushing myself to the point where I'm like, instead of saying, well, this is good enough, you know, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I would have said, this is good enough. Oh, I tried. I went for a walk. That's good. I'm taking care of my health. Instead of now, while it's still not perfect, I can say, I'm going to go and I'm going to try my damnedest to be as accountable to myself. And I think that has probably been the biggest point of like self growth that I've had is like, yes, I'm accountable to you and I'm accountable to God and I'm accountable to other people in my life that I allow into my sphere. But at the end of the day, like I could just say, who cares? And cut those voices out. Like if I got so stressed out, I now have a deeper appreciation for my accountability to myself as it regards my nutrition and my like physical well-being far more than I ever would have at any point in my life so far. So,
Damn. Damn, that was a very, very powerful statement. But you can see it bleed. You can see, by the way, the body language now, how you're saying it's just you're just in a way better place than when you were first started. And were there any positive impacts that you've had on others around you?
I mean, it's been nice to, again, not that I would claim myself to be any kind of authority on the things that you that you do, but it is nice to be able to just have those interactions with strangers. Even like I don't even know if I mentioned this to you, but I had AT&T out here working on the internet, and the customer service rep, like the tech left, the customer service rep came in while I was making my roommate and I cuts of salmon for lunch. And she was like, oh, that looks so good. I got here at the right time. And as I started talking to her, she was like, well, why are you trying to eat so much protein? And I just kind of like gave a quick synopsis of like where I've been and where I am now. And she started asking me questions like, well, what do you look for when you're looking at snacks? And like she left with snacks in her hand because I just have so much of it in my house, and she was sitting there taking notes, and I was like, this is what I look for, this is why I'm doing this, and I just kind of gave her like a very brief presentation, sounds funny, but a brief overview of like kind of the things we're talking about. This is what I was living like, and this is where I am now, and it's still like I want to keep going, and I feel like my excitement about my progress bleeds into the conversations that I have with other people now. And I love it. Like honestly, there are a lot of people. I actually had some people who messaged me when I would post things about like I never am a vanity person. I don't post vanity pictures ever. I post like goofy, dumb stuff. But I had a couple of people tell me like, it's really weird that you post stuff about the gym. It's really weird that you post like pictures and like, how much it's like you're bragging. I was like, oh, I'm not doing that for them. I have been posting those things because I'm accountable to you and I enjoy being able to celebrate that. But B, like, I don't care what you think. Like, I am not posting this for my own vanity. I'm posting it because I'm excited about the progress that I'm making. And honestly, being able to see other people who have done that before, um, and see like their success, who are in way worse situations, like, you know, body mass, trying to lose fat and trying to gain muscle, and seeing other people that I know post those things was inspirational for me. And I think that it's a disservice if I don't have the ability to be able to celebrate myself and also let people know that it is attainable. And that's what you're doing. You just also have a business model wrapped around that, and you have great information to be able to share in that way. So that's been a huge thing for me. And honestly, like if I was talking into a vacuum and one person happened to hear it and it made even the slightest difference in the well-being of their life at some point, it's worth it for me to say and share what I've gone through. So
Beautiful, James. Absolutely beautiful. And it's true though. I don't want to. I think it's with the social media thing. I think there's a lot of takes on it, but I think one of the hardest ones is when people are going, they're like, you'll get a lot of the sides, different sides, where people are fighting back, like meaning like, oh, why are you posting this stuff? Then you have other people on the other side that are like, hey, you're doing great, keep it up, right? I think it also just shows you the kind of people that either, in this case, are following you. But this happens also in person, right? When you start losing weight, people start projecting their pains onto you, right? And whereas now But to other people, you could be the leader, right? You could be the person that stands out because they look up to you now because you were the person that did it and got to the other side. And I think I was on the call with somebody else earlier, and I was telling them, I was like, there's 1% of the world in the U.S. that even have visible lean body shape, but a six pack. And I was like, imagine if you're even close to a 4-pack. That's like 4 or 5%. And there are about 12% of the world, U.S. is millionaires. So think about that. So like you are in a probability case of the top 95th percentile in the U.S. of both health and fitness already. So that's why it's like crazy to think about when I give people percentages of where they are now. You're in that percentile. So just to give you a
That's
heads
kind of
up.
crazy. That's crazy to think about. And it is funny, I see people on social media, and honestly, and you can cut this part, but I honestly think it's funny when I see people like, occasionally one of your sponsored ads will come up that's like the bumper reel for like, hey, let's talk if you want. I work with professional men who sit behind desks. There's one comment, and I've seen it a couple of times, and it's the same guy that's like, all he says is too small. And I'm like, brother, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, first off, who cares what you think? Second off, he's doing way better than I would ever do. Like, I have to remind myself of that when looking at things like online, or I went to like a head-to-head like art competition thing for like coffee art. And so many people in the room were like, oh, that one was bad. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, that's way better than I would ever do. Like, who am I to judge and say something out loud? And it's because we almost have this like passive expectation that like my opinion matters so much, even though I have no reason to have this opinion, Uh,
That's the scary part about it.
yeah. So anyway.
But it's true though. That's why for people listening, just know that if you have a 6-pack, you're the 1% of the whole United States population, and if you have a visible 4-pack, basically at rest, you're in the top 5th percentile, and then a resting 2 to 4 is like 10th percentile. But just know that there are 10 to 12% of the U.S. population as having $1 million net worth. So crazy to think about, crazy. But on a side tangent, last question. What would you tell somebody who is watching this right now and is unsure about taking that next step?
Yeah. The main thing that I can think, and the main thing that I can think just about this question in general is like, what would I say to myself when I was on the fence about it? Is like, invest in yourself. There is no better day to start than today. And it's okay to ask for help, especially like as men. Like, a point of pride can be a really hard thing of like, sometimes you just want to, grit your teeth and bear it and just like try and take care of yourself. And life is meant to be done with other people. Ask for help, because there are people who can equip you with the things to make your life so much better. And it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. That's probably that's what I would say to myself.
Damn right. Well, James, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure serving you. And just for the context of the viewers, yes, James is officially down about 22.5 pounds net. So that means based on his metrics, he's probably up about 7 to 8 pounds of muscle. So we're talking almost 30 pounds of fat loss in about 7 to 8 months time. So that is very impressive.
Well, it's been a long journey. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the end of the year is going to look like. Just keep working.